We're talking about the industrial, the nutritional, the seed, and everything in between. Now, where are we going?
Okay, 1890s for the first 200 years, 1619, all the way through 1890s when the cotton gin became developed, and the demand for hemp products started to decline as the import of textiles from other countries increased, as well as the demand for soft, luscious cotton increased. Okay, you had the invention of the cotton gin, which made producing cotton to be much more affordable and far less labor intensive than it was doing hemp, because up until that time and right through until the 1930s was hemp was done by hand. They had to harvest it and cut it and decorticate it and red it, thank you.
Right.
And a couple other things. Very labor intensive.
Hey, we got a long way to go in our timeline here, so let's roll. What you got, cuz?
All right, 1937, Marijuana Tax Act.
That's 70 years ago.
Yup.
We're oppressed people. They took away our green gold. So what happens now? Our industry, in order to maintain it, we have to subsidize other nations by bringing it in. Okay, we can't go around.
Now, the Marijuana Tax Act, I just want to be clear on this so that people understand the layer of deceit and manipulation that we are dealing with here is that it was not to ban marijuana. It didn't make it illegal, at least the commercial hemp at that point.
Well, hold on, back up. What you're saying there is that it was for recreation. It was a ban on recreational. It didn't want to infringe on the industrial hemp.
Right, but what they wanted to do was to tax it out of competition, is what it is. $1 per ounce tax. Back in 1937, people could live off of $5 a week. So $1 per ounce tax on commercial hemp, well, that's $16 a pound right off the top as far as your cost. 1937 economy certainly could not handle that.
Now, look how they're manipulating folks. Come on, folks, there is no just war, you know? There's no just war. This war on drugs is a big scam. If you don't know it by now, keep watching. You'll figure it out. Study and educate yourself and those around you so you don't have to tolerate those pile tricksters, which you don't tolerate in your family and your friends.
1938, Popular Mechanic magazine writes an article, new billion-dollar crop coming out with the invention of what was called the decorticator. What it would do is it was a machine that would harvest the hemp. It would separate the curd, the pulpous cellophane part there, from the strand part, and it would put it into basically bailable piles so that you could just bale it up with another machine and on your way. Now it reduced the labor costs, 100-fold at least. So now all of a sudden, hemp could be cannabis hemp, commercial industrial hemp could be a new commercial product.
Very viable.
Billion-dollar crop, 1938. This is what Popular Mechanics had said at that time. It solved a 6,000-year-old problem. That's why it was never really considered a threat until 1938.
That is such a good article, folks. You got to go and check out Jack Herer's book. It's in the book, and you'll be amazed. I mean, come on, think about it. Marijuana Tax Act 1937. The following year, Popular Mechanics is $1 billion crop. Now, if we had stayed with hemp industry in our country from the 30s, where would we be right now? We would have a different world, folks. We would have a different world. We're talking about, this plant supplying every basic need that you have. Because let me tell you something, the entrepreneurs haven't woken up to what they can do with this plant. And when they do, we're going to have a whole new revolution. And it's going to be a hemp revolution, folks. And it's coming.
Well, in 1938, science was aware that the cannabis plant contained herds, which is 77% of that was cellulose, which can be produce more than 25,000 products. And I didn't know that dynamite to cellophane.
Right, but that's old news.
And that was
25,000.
Right, and that was in 1938. So it's obvious that our technology today would be far more advanced. What we would be at this state of the game is we would not be so dependent on crude oil for things like plastics. For things like a lot of our military.
For fuel, but let's roll.
Fuel, yes, yeah, we're going to get into the biodiesel a little bit later on.
Hopefully.
1942, World War II, December 7th, 1941. Everybody knows that date. We won't go into into that one. Hemp for victory. The Navy, Japan had conquered the Manila and the Philippine Islands, and hence all of a sudden we are not importing hemp anymore. Time to grow it ourselves again, put people back to work. We are a sovereign nation, and we have the capabilities to be a sovereign nation. That was buried by the Library of Congress. They tried to get rid of it, destroy all the copies. That Hemp for Victory didn't exist. So just to show right there that there is, people don't want us to know about this product.
Absolutely.
Okay, so after 1942 or the World War II, it's sad that war brings about a lot of technology developments. It's just kind of the way it goes. So by 1945, you had the advent of nylon, and farmers had to move from hemp to more profitable cash crops.
DuPont, they're in the business of war. Remember that, people? DuPont.
And DuPont is a chemical company, and what is nylon but a chemical? It is a synthetic made out of crude oil products or byproducts.
Good for the environment or bad for the environment? Good for the environment or bad for the environment? You tell me.
1958, you had the last hemp harvest crop in the United States by a Matt Wren's hemp company in Wisconsin.
1958.
Now,
when's it going to change, Buzzy? Here's the interesting thing, folks. In 1961, the U.S. becomes party to the UN Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs. And this is what happens, folks. This convention differentiates between marijuana and hemp, used exclusively for industrial purposes or horticultural purposes. Now, this is the really sick thing, folks, is that your DEA started in 1972 with 11,000 staff in over 64 countries, all right, with a budget of, I can't even tell you right now. All right,
billion probably.
It's $2,415 million in 2006, folks. That's your tax dollars at work. Let me tell you something, folks. They're not they have an eradication program. You know what that means? They fly around in helicopters and they're looking around for pot plants. All right. The thing is, folks, is that they're really not going after this kind of pot because 98.1% of the eradication program is on what we're talking about: industrial hemp. They are keeping you in the dark about green gold. And you know what that green gold is? It's something that you can grow in your backyard, and you can make everything and anything out of it, and as good as currency. Let it be known. What happened in 1970, Buzz?
Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Act.
Understand this, people.
Lumped all drugs into one category.
Right, so now Congress doesn't even get to have a say on it. You know why? Because the psychiatric department, they got it all.
Under the FDA's ruling now.
Bunch of crap, folks. Bunch of crap. So where are we going from there? 1993, Buzzy. This is where we really wanted to get to today, folks. Because you know what? This is when nations started growing industrial hemp. All right. Everybody got involved with the convention in 1961, and then finally, you know what? Britain said, you know what? We're going to lift this ban on industrial hemp. You know why? Because they figured, hey, I can make a bunch of money selling it to Germany and the United States of America. Well, guess what? Germany's smart. We're still stupid and dumb. You know why? Because we're under secret societies in a government who's not serving us, who's serving itself and taking us to war, killing our children. Let me tell you something, folks. Stop bitching. Start a revolution.
Well, we say secret societies. It's kind of funny because they're not so secret anymore.
Well, not to us, Buzz. But what about our cuz out there? They don't know. Bilderberg, Trilateral, check it out.
CFR,
Skull and Bones. Do it up, man. Get educated. Now, see, Great Britain, they take the ban off. All right, so they start making loot. So what does Canada do in 95? Ding, ding, dang, folks. All right. 1995, the states finally, see what's happening in other countries. Farmers, they were getting subsidized out of business to not grow in the 90s. Come on, people. What's that all about? Stupid. States begin introducing legislation finally in 1995 in favor of hemp research or cultivation. And many fail or are vetoed, but to date, 28 states have approved some form of pro-hemp legislation. Stop bitching and start a revolution. How about Connecticut, man? Let's get something going, people.
Now, and something else, a quick little side note here is that throughout the last century, how many research committees have been assigned to study the negative or detrimental effects of cannabis, hemp, the dangers of it? LaGuardia, back in the 40s there, Governor LaGuardia of New York was commissioned by Anslinger to do a study on the harmful effects.
You're right. But even Kennedy did.
And Johnson did, you were saying?
Yeah. Johnson did one, and, it's no gateway drug here, folks. We don't want to mix it up here. We're talking about recreational and industrial. Recreational and industrial.
Well, this is because this is where we're coming into right now, the initiatives that are going on in this country today.
Right. Well, what happens in 1999, Buzz?
DEA demands U.S. Customs to deny entry any hemp product containing any THC.
Now, this is ridiculous, folks.
Absolute zero